Hello, welcome to UNT Alumni Live. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest, Deborah Smith Pegues. Deborah grew up in the small town of Palestine, Texas in the 1950s and 60s during the United States burgeoning civil rights movement. After graduating at the top of her high school class, she came to UNT, eager to learn the ins and outs of business accounting. She earned her degree in 1972 and moved to Los Angeles, where she held leadership positions with MCA Universal Studios Venture Capital Division, Hughes Aircraft's billion-dollar space and communications division, the Magic Johnson Theater chain, and more. She is also a best-selling author of 18 books, including 30 Days to Taming Your Tongue, which has sold more than 1 million copies, and the brand new Lead Like a Woman, which is out this month. When she's not writing, Deborah hosts a faith-based TV show, Winning with Deborah, in addition to being an in-demand motivational speaker and committed community volunteer. Deborah, thanks for being here, and Casey, take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Claudia, and thank you, Ms. Deborah, for taking the time to reconnect with your Mean Green family. We're so thrilled to hear about your journey and the success that you found along the way. So I want to take it all the way back. Now that you live out in LA, I'm dying to know, when was the last time you visited our beautiful campus up in Denton?
Well, my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, had a 50-year reunion. Now, I hadn't been in it 50 years, but we had the 50 years of being on campus several months ago, and I was able to come and visit the campus, and was I wowed. It has changed so much.
So tell us a little bit about some of the changes that you noticed while you were on campus and what that may have meant to you.
Okay, so you're ready for the truth, right?
Yes, always. Always.
Okay. Well, I could immediately tell by the signage. I saw multicultural signs. I saw people walking together and interacting interculturally. And I said, this place has really changed, because that was not the reputation it had when I entered the school in 1972. So it has changed. And it's just beautiful. It's more beautiful. The dormitories are nice. I wish I could just go back there and stay in some of those beautiful sorority houses. So it has changed. I'd say there's an atmosphere there. And even when you guys approached me about coming on the program, I could tell just from the spirit that, as we say in my business, the spirit that emanated from you, that this is a genuine crew who is very much into inclusivity. So that's good.
Well, what a great compliment. We really appreciate that. And that means a lot. I mean, that's really spectacular to hear that. So I'm curious also, what brought you to UNT? I mean, what made you decide, of all the universities in the state and the United States, why UNT? How did we get so lucky to have you?
Well, I'm not sure what the reputation is now, but when I entered the school, North Texas had the highest passing rate on the CPA exam of any school in the nation. So naturally, and the exam was pretty hard because only 5% of people passed it passed it the first time around. So I soon learned, though, why we had that reputation, because every test was like a CPA exam quiz. So that's what brought me there. That it was the reputation the school had for its for people passing the CPA exam. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I think that reputation still holds true. Our College of Business is doing remarkable things and turning out some fantastic talent, and we're very proud of all of our alumni that are graduating from our College of Business and all the other colleges on campus as well. So I'm curious, what would you say some of your fondest memories are from being on campus during that time?
Well, I want to say just studying and going to class, but it was really having fun with my sorority sisters. So when I pledged the AKAs, life changed. And I met a lot of friends, and we're all still friends today. So it was the social life, but not only that, though, but the curriculum was stringent, and the teachers really cared. And I'll never forget my accounting teacher, one of them, who taught cost accounting, which everybody hated. But we hated the course, not him. But he was so adamant about that. And I tell you, that stuff he taught us, it came right up on that CPA exam. And I thank God to this day for him.
So what I'm hearing you say is we really prepare our students for their journey outside of college and after college. So that's remarkable.
Yeah. And you know what, Casey, I can say that because we learned accounting so well. And they say you don't remember accounting, you have to stick with it. But I just never forgot the principles. I can just hear that man's head and my voice in my head. So yeah, they put the P in prepare.
a capital P at that, nonetheless.
Right,
Thank you very much.
Right.
So this is really neat. I think it's really fascinating that you went there to do accounting and learn accounting and become a CPA. But you have got just a really great speaking voice. You've got this charm and this charisma. So how did you, now we know, as Claudia had mentioned, you've penned 18 books now, and your most recent one just came out. So how did you go from being a CPA to now this really successful author?
I wondered that myself. Yeah, I think it was a divine appointment. And sometimes I have that imposter syndrome. Like, what are you doing writing about human behavior and telling people how to confront without offending and how to stay married and all those things? I'm thinking, I don't know. I just think it was a call. And but still, I'm very close to accounting. I have never left it. I still have a few clients. I don't want any more, but I think I was just kind of called into this. You know, some things just call you, and it's been quite a journey. I love it. I'm so fulfilled in it. It's just rewarding. It's a lonely profession to write, but the results, even today, I'm going to be having a podcast later, but with men telling us how to lead like a woman. I'm so excited about that. And I thought, where did I get this assignment from?
That is really spectacular. So, okay, take a moment and just tell us a little bit about Lead Like a Woman and what was the driving force behind that. And, you know, obviously, where can the people in the audience purchase this book? Give us a little spiel here.
Well, okay, so I wrote Lead Like a Woman. I saw a statistic that said there will be 200 years before women achieve gender equality. I had quite a tumble through corporate America, and I didn't feel like it was that hard, but I did see a lot of women who weren't assertive enough. And I'm thinking, no, women got to learn how to fast track their journey. I don't have 200 years, and neither does anybody who's listening.
No,
so we're not going to take 200 years. We're going to learn how to fast track ourselves in this. And so I wanted to just put together some tools, things that I've seen that I haven't seen in other books, like things that we do that self-sabotage, like not speaking up or not speaking loudly enough, or, you know, not really owning our points and trying to be perfect and all those things. So I said, no, I want to write something where women will be inspired and say, yeah, I'm going to change that. Because the truth of the matter, Casey, is that women are designed to lead. I mean, we have inherent traits that all the studies show position us to excel. They did a study of like the 10 top traits to be a great leader. Women excelled. They passed men in the rankings in 8 categories, and there were only 2. And it's like one of them was lack of confidence. We can come to the table and know a lot, but not be confident. And I'm like, now that's a problem. So that's what I did within the book. It's a beautiful book. Lead like a woman. Immediately people want to read it because they know the implication is not like a man. And it's not a male bashing thing. It's about not having hand-to-hand combat with men, but it's about walking hand in hand, learning to use their assets and use our assets and really combine these traits so that we can all advance our balls down the court. That's what it's about.
I love it. And it speaks to me on a personal level, obviously, but I can't help but notice that it's also your favorite color. So well done. Hey, you said something in there that made me question. And you said you had a tumble through the corporate world. Can you, and you had some challenges you had to overcome. Can you kind of elaborate on that just a little bit for us?
Yes, and since you've told me I can tell the truth, I came there, when I entered the corporate world, I had a bachelor's in accounting from grade school in new accounting. Then I got a master's in finance from USC. I knew I had the qualifications, but I soon learned that just being proficient wasn't enough, and especially as a woman of color. But I wasn't going to let that hold me back. I just refused to get stuck. And one of my mottos is that I am never a victim. And so I was just very assertive without being nasty. I would ask, like, what does it take to get that position there? Or tell me exactly what I can do to improve. I was going to make sure that people had to dig real hard to find a reason for me not to excel. And so that's kind of how I've done it. I went to this one place to work, and I was what they call an affirmative action hire. I don't think they do that anymore. I'm not sure, but it was a government place. And I was there 2 weeks and nobody asked me to lunch or anything. And they were known for their racist policies. And that's which is why they had to hire me, because they were a government contractor, blah, blah, blah. So one day I just decided, hey, I'm going to be here. I better just, get integrated with the staff here. And so I just when they gathered near my door, which was near the elevator for lunch, I said, hey, can I join you guys? And they said, yeah. See, I think they were reluctant because they didn't know what kind of a mindset I had. And that's kind of set the tone for how I just deal in life. I take the responsibility but making people comfortable with me. I don't live in Should'sville where they should ask me. I'm like, hey, I'm friendly. Come be with me.
Shouldville. I like that. I'm going to have to use that. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. So we do have a question coming in from the audience, and I want to throw this at you for a second. It says, do you have any tips on managing anxiety or feeling overwhelmed? And especially during our quarantine situation that we're in right now, I feel like anxiety is probably through the roof for a lot of people. What would you recommend here?
Well, I say anxiety is a giant, and you got to really dissect it. Just begin to peel it back. I have my own definition of anxiety. It's expecting a negative outcome. Why are you expecting a negative outcome? Why don't you change your mindset and start to think about the possibilities? And so I'll ask myself, okay, one of my anxieties could have been is that I only have 3 clients that I call my bread and butter client, and they are all affected by the downturn. I could say, suppose they don't pay me. Yeah, but I could do something else. So why am I limiting my ability to move forward to just what other people do? I do serve a higher power, and that is the basis of what I teach. I am not in charge of myself. God is in charge of taking care of me. So I'll just say, okay, well, let me get creative here. What else can I do? So I started consulting people on how to write books. I can charge more for that almost than I can for my accounting. So I am always looking for a way out. So I don't anticipate a negative outcome. I anticipate something new and creative, and I get up with that mindset. I don't dwell on that. I don't create a scenario that has me in defeat. You know, we're all great movie producers. We can create a scenario. We have a whole movie going, and pretty soon we're on the streets. Instead of saying, hey, no, I can start this and I can do that and I can do this online. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
I love that. And the mindset thing is huge. A few minutes ago, you had mentioned your motto is never a victim, never be a victim, right? Yeah. I feel like there's something that has happened in your life that has allowed you to change your mindset. How many people just are born with that concept of, I'm not going to be a victim and I'm going to have this positive mindset? There's got to be something that triggered that. Am I onto something here or not so much?
Well, no, but when you've been through a lot of negativity all your life, then you're gonna. When I was a senior in high school, in the last year of high school, they consolidated them, and so everybody said, you know, if we had stayed at the other school, you would have been the valedictorian of the class. And I thought, yeah, well, that's okay. Well, at the end of the school year, I was named valedictorian of the class in the consolidated school where it was not predominantly Black. My expectation, and it's a biblical principle that everything works together for the good. If you love God, that is the hallmark of my life. And so I am looking for the good. I want to tell you a quick story about that. I'm going to try to make it short. There was a couple who had twins, and one of them was very pessimistic. And the other boy was very optimistic. They took them to the psychiatrist, and they took the little boy who was pessimistic, showed him a room full of toys, and he looked at them and he started to cry. And he said, I'll probably break them all eventually. Well, they took the other one to a room full of manure, packed to the top. He opened the door immediately, ran in there and just started digging through it. Oh my God, slinging it everywhere. They said, whoa, hold up. What is it? What are you doing? He said, well, with this much manure, there's got to be a pony under here somewhere. I am always looking for the pony. So
I love that.
So even in school, when the man didn't give me my grade in English, he said, you and Miss Patmore have tied for the A in the class. I got to examine you. This is right here in North Texas, but which has changed, I'm sure, significantly. But I didn't get the A. But I say that man put me on a path that makes me a writer today, because I thought nobody made more than I made in an English class. I mean, I had the best English teacher in the world. You just made 100. I don't care what. So I just said, oh, hey, this is going to work together for my good. It was 25 years later, but hey,
I'm here. Together.
It all came together. And that's my mindset. I don't look for the bad. Woe is me. I don't have that mindset. It's like something's good going to come out of here, and I'm looking for this pony.
That's right. Everybody look for your ponies, okay? I know the world is strange right now, but there are ponies out there. Go find them. Right. I hope mine's the My Little Pony with the rainbows and stuff. I don't know. I have a 6-year-old. Sorry. So we've got a couple more questions. I love that you guys are asking questions. Please, please, please keep sending them in. Deborah is a remarkable lady and so talented, so wise, and has some really great things to offer to us. So send your questions in. If you're on Zoom, go ahead and hit them in send them in through the chat function. Same thing on Facebook. We'll get them over to her and hear what she has to say about that. So the next question is, how do you decide to title your writings and books?
I'm glad you asked that. The title has to promise to solve a problem. Think about that. So you're solving a problem. And most books that don't sell, people don't know what's in it for me. We call it that WIFM principle, WIIFM, what's in it for me. Immediately, the title has to say there's something in this for you. So my book that has sold 1 million copies, 30 Days to Taming Your Tongue, what do you think that's about? It's about helping me tame my tongue. So the title, it has to be something that people are immediately going to pick up. It can't be a title that people go, oh, I wonder what that's about. You got to read it to find out. No, it should immediately let people know that something's there for them. I have a book called Socially Savvy in 60 Seconds or something like that. Socially Confident, whatever it is. But you know this about being socially smart, learning the rules of etiquette or whatever. So I try to make these titles something that immediately lets somebody know there's something in this for you that's going to improve you. So I'm solving a problem. That's it. Solve a problem.
Especially, most recent book, Lead Like a Woman. Hello, yeah. That's me. Or my husband may pick it up and go, yeah, she's a pretty good leader. I need to read this. I don't know. It could go either way. So Ms. Deborah, you've also got a book called 30 Days to Taming Your Kid's Tongue. Listen, this speaks to me. So can you give our audience a little glimpse of what this is about and maybe one little tip or trick there?
Well, it's about being respectful, and you don't want kids to keep quiet for peace sake, but you're going to teach them how to put their ideas on the table in a respectful manner. Because I find that a lot of people who could been my children, when they speak to me, they don't speak to me sometimes in a way that I find respectful, but they don't know it's disrespectful. So I'll correct them on it, and they'll say, "Well, I'm just telling my truth." No, you're just being disrespectful. So it's about learning how to be respectful. It's learning how to say, I would prefer this, so that, they know how to do that. It's about not putting other people down. It's about those kinds of things, positive ways to interact so that you advance your ball down the court, because words never die. And we want to teach them to let their words build and not tear down.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah. So also, someone's asking, how did you get involved with Magic Johnson's theater project?
Well, I'm a CPA, and I knew someone who knew someone, and I was a venture capitalist I was a venture capitalist. Like, I was vice president at MCA Universal Studios, had a venture capital division. And so I knew how to do cash flow projections, and somebody knew that I knew that. I had developed kind of a reputation for doing that kind of thing. And so they came and we looked at the place where they're going to buy it, and we discovered that even at 25% occupancy, it could be profitable. So that was a very rewarding project, because I lived within walking distance of that project. How about that?
I think I heard you say that even at 25% occupancy, that it can still be profitable. Yeah. And look at what is going on in our world right now, and how our theaters are shut down, and just what's happening. And so, I think that may give some people some hope that maybe we can return to a little bit of normalcy sooner than later, and do it safely and do it well. So that's really neat.
Yeah, so that's pretty hard. The theaters are hurting, because most of the time they make the money on the popcorn anyway. So we're missing the popcorn business. Believe it or not, really, the biggest profits are made on the popcorn. Trust me. I've been there and actually did a whole bucket just to see how we could make the profit on it and analyze it, all of that. They don't make the money on the movies. They make it on the candy business. We say it's a candy business.
That is too funny. And so true. So true. Yeah. That is fascinating. All right. So I want to shift gears to something a little bit heavier and serious for just a moment. No, it's good. It's good. It's all good. Everything is good. Everything that we talk about today is good.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
So shortly after George Floyd's death, you penned 10 ways to bridge the racial divide. And you've even gone as far as to offer this as a free download and a resource for the public to go over and check out. And I know Claudia is planning on sharing the link to that if anybody wants to check that out and access it. Claudia, I don't know if it's something that you can pop up on the screen.
Okay, we're gonna try to make this work. So hold on a second. I'm technology challenged.
Right. So Deborah, there it is. I see it.
Okay.
Yay.
I don't know how to make it.
You got this, girl. I love that you're taking the technical side of it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you can kind of see it there if I go up and down.
I love the fact that you broke this out into whites and blacks, and I think it's really fascinating to see how you were able to take the perspective and some internal conflicts that whites may be having and help us address those and how we can overcome those. So I'm curious to know, how did you manage to put yourself in that mindset? But also, like, if you were to pick one point out of any of these top 10 for Blacks and or whites, what would you say is one thing you would want our audience to take away with them today?
Well, I have a list for the whites and a list for the Blacks. And on the top of the list for the whites, it says to realize that we have an unconscious, you may have an unconscious or conscious bias, and begin to deal with that, because you have to begin to see people as people. I find that most people who are against white people don't have white friends. And most of the people who have negative ideas about Black people don't have Black friends. I have lots of friends across the board, and I don't feel the same way that I find that a lot of my friends feel, because I know that I know they've taken a broad brush and assume that everybody's racist, everybody's prejudiced. And I just know that not to be true. I've had too much good things come into my life because of the benevolence, let's say, of a white person who was not just being benevolent, but who wanted to be a friend and understand my story. But I also tell the Black people, listen, don't get stuck in your pain. Because if you get stuck and ain't it awful, you just got to keep moving forward and understand that doesn't mean we're forgiving the past, but we do have to let it go and move forward. And somebody said, well, why don't Black people just quit being stuck in the past? So we're not angry about the past. We're upset about it, but we're protesting the present because it hasn't stopped. So that's important to know. So I encourage everybody to get to know each other. We really do have a lot in common, but just just start right there. Just say, next week, I'm going to get to know a Black person. I'm just going to ask them, tell me your story. I'm not thinking about to be offended by that. I really want to understand your plight. Tell me your story. I think that's a good start.
I totally agree. And thank you for sharing that with us. And I hope everyone has an opportunity to really kind of read through these and reflect on them and soak it in and learn from it. So thank you again for sharing that.
Sure.
So I want to go back to the CPA thing. You had mentioned when we met the first time, do you remember the statistic you gave me about the number of CPAs that were in the state of Texas at the time that you...
There were several.
Tell the audience?
There were 4 Blacks in the whole state. At the time I entered North Texas, and I think the year that I arrived, they graduated a Black person, but they had never graduated a Black person in accounting. And so it was just one of those professions where Black people didn't gravitate. Well, first of all, probably a lot of us didn't even know what a CPA was. Honestly, I didn't know what a CPA was until they consolidated the high school. And I had a bookkeeping class taught by a white teacher. And she said, you're really good at this bookkeeping. You should consider a career. You should consider being a CPA. I'm like, what is that? And so she told me, and I thought, and they said, it's a booming profession. You'll never have to look for a job because there's going to always be opportunities. And that has proven to be true. And even afterwards, you can hang out your shingles or just do lots of consulting. I would pursue that profession all back over again, but it was not a profession where Black people had really entered. So when I got my first assignment, when I went to work for the CPA firm, first of all, everybody I interviewed with offered me the job, since there were only 4 Black CPAs in the whole state. But you know what? I sat in that office for 2 weeks and they never sent me out on a job. And they said, we just, our clients just aren't quite ready. But they wanted to be on record as having hired one. So I thought, nah, that's not going to work. So I moved to California and worked my tail off as a CPA out here.
And you've done a great job of it, and you've made us all very proud. And I know your family has to be very proud of you as well. So congratulations on those successes for sure. We do have a work-related question, and they're asking, what's your advice for people who are having workplace conflicts, especially when so many of us are dealing with new and challenging work environments? I think it's a great question.
Well, conflict is inevitable, because we're not all carbon copies of each other. And the best way to handle a conflict is to confront it. Now, that word has gotten a bad rap because it sounds confrontational, but confront just really means to come together face to face. And so whatever problem you're having, you need to be able to say, here's the issue. Go to the person who can make a difference. Or if that person is, maybe it's just a coworker, to say, I'd like to talk to you about how we can work together more effectively. Now, it takes a big person to do that, because most people want to be combative and they want to seek. So you want to seek first to understand. So here's what I see the problem is. Tell me what you see. And here's my recommendation, because I really want us to get on the same page so we can be more effective in achieving the goal, because we are working towards the same goal. And it's very stressful to work in a tense environment, or even with tense people over the phone. So you want to be the initiator of that. You want to always be the person who initiates that reconciliation. And you do it by asking the question, What can we do to work together more effectively? This is what I think the problem is. And this is what I'm willing to do. And here's the key. When that other person tells you, listen, even if you don't agree, I teach people, just nod your head, because you see the conflict is half over when people feel that they have been heard. So I'll just say, I hear you. I mean, that literally means I hear you. That doesn't mean I agree, but you'd be surprised what I hear you will do for a conversation. It just takes all the anger out. Oh, she's validating my thoughts.
I also like the way that you said, whenever you have this confrontation in a stressful or tense work environment, the question that you posed there was even positive. How can we work together? How can we come together and work together and figure this out? And, I think that that's a great piece of advice right there, because even in your tone, it's positive. And that's a great way to start it off on the right foot, hopefully.
Yeah, I love that advice, because people tend to get so defensive, immediately defensive.
Yeah.
And that's really
and
hard.
that's because if you ask the question starting with why, they're going to get defensive. This is a key point, folks. Don't say, why did you do that? Or why? See, that puts me on the defensive. But if you say, help me understand the rationale on that. But tell me, where were we going with that? Help me to understand what the intention was on that. So I'm really seeking first to understand. Most of us, even when we're talking to somebody, we're not seeking to understand. We're just waiting to reply. So don't even think about what you're going to say. Just, I tell everybody, listen, count to 5 before you respond. Now, count 5 is a long time. Watch this. That's a long time to be quiet. That's a long time for me to be quiet. So you just do that. You say, okay, I hear you. And you kind of restate it. So what you're saying is blah, blah. Well, that wasn't what I meant when I did that. But I can see that. Now, let's agree on how can we go forward. Always agree on how you're going forward. That's important. Can't just leave it out there as a unresolved conflict, like, well, you go your way, I go mine. No, not going to work.
Goodbye. No, I totally understand. And I agree. And I think that, if people will come with the mindset of trying to solve a problem and bring something to the table rather than constantly shutting down and putting up that barrier, then you'll also see some great results in that conversation as well.
And Casey, let me tell you, this is no more important than right now with this shutdown, being at home. Most of your confrontations are going to need to happen at home. And again, confrontation means coming together face to face. So you may have a spouse that comes in at the wrong time, right as you're getting ready for a podcast, and they want to tell you something. or
I can't imagine who would do that, Mr. Pegues.
Yeah. He's not going to watch this one, hopefully. But at any rate, you might want to say, sweetheart, I can't talk about that right now. I'm going to have to get back to you at 3:00 on that one. So rather than, hello, don't you see I'm about to get on a call?
That's
so
right.
Listen, so sometimes you got to set some guidelines at home that I just may need some space. Everybody's been in the house now for about 3 or 4 or 5 months. And just to say, when I close my door, or when I put a sign on the door, that just means I need some quiet time. Or I'm going to go sit outside, look at the city, whatever you're doing, but I'm just going to be quiet. I'm just going to have some alone time. That means don't join me. Do not join me.
Stay far away.
Choose the words.
Hey, speaking of this current situation and people spending so much time together with their immediate family and loved ones, I shouldn't have used air quotes there. I love them dearly. I really, really do. But, think about our college kids and how they're making this transition from high school into college. They're now going out onto their own. So thinking about those first-time college students, what advice can you offer to them?
You mean the ones who have to work at home, or the ones who are actually going off to colleges? Because most colleges are shut down now, right?
They are. I will say that we do have students on campus moving into campus. And so we do have students on campus at UNT. So let's start with those students. What advice can you offer them to find some success when they may be living on campus? And right now they may only have one in-person class and the rest may be virtual. And you may be stuck in a dorm room with a roommate that you may not really understand very well. Let me put it that way.
One of the great lessons you're going to have to learn in life is to be flexible and to embrace change. So you begin to see change, especially things you don't want to change, as a positive, and to say, how can I grow from this? And we all have different habits, but this is also a time to practice that extreme discipline, because when nobody's watching and you don't have to go to class, there's a temptation to wait till the last minute. I used to pride myself in having my homework ready all the time. And I started to feel sorry for people who couldn't grasp that accounting, because accounting really was hard. So I used to tutor people, not for money, just like, I'm just going to help you because they're struggling. And one day I overslept and didn't get to class on time. And I was like, I shouldn't have helped somebody. But I'm just learning, like, what does that look like to balance your life out? You're not an island unto yourself. So whatever you're doing, if you're a college student with nobody else around, don't just be about me, me, me. I believe in planting seeds and helping others. And so if you look around, you see somebody else who's, lonesome, do the safe distancing thing and talk to them, reach out to others. Don't just focus on you, because this is a great time to learn that there's more in the world than you.
What? Who knew? No, I love that. I think that's great. So what about our students that may be doing virtual learning from home and they're not in the dorm experience? How can they thrive and find success and happiness in that situation as well?
Well, I believe I think things that are planned are great. So you have a schedule, and I'm big on schedule. I schedule my whole life. You say, this is what I'm going to do from this period of time to this period of time. Then I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to, balance my life out. I'm not just going to overdo it. You know how people just overdo it? You know how you diet so long, then you just, hey, I got to have some cake.
Sure.
So you want to just, you want to study, you want to set aside some time that you devote to that. And then you want to balance your life out, call a friend, get some exercise, just to have a balanced life. Keep life in balance. That's my advice for everybody. Keep life in balance. Don't be a one-note person, because that's a very boring life. So whatever you're doing, even if it is studying, there are seasons where things may be an anomaly. This is not the norm, but I'm going to get back to the norm, and always seeking to be getting back to your norm so that you can enjoy the process. Most students just think about graduation. One of the things I know that I enjoyed that process of learning. I enjoyed it so much. I never wanted to go to summer school. I wanted to stretch it out. I wasn't trying to just get there and get out of school and get a degree. I wanted to just enjoy the process.
I love that. I really love that. And taking it even a step further, we've got grandparents that may be helping with students that are learning virtually. And so how can those grandparents step up to assist in these virtual learning environments, whether it's college, high school, or even grade school? What advice might you have there?
Well, I can just tell them, listen, I don't want to say it this way, like stay out of the way, but understand. I don't mean stay out of the way, but I remember when I was writing, my aunt, who was 84, she used to come into the room and just want to talk and just sit and talk for a minute. And so I would say, listen, I'm going to set aside some time, and then I'm going to come in there and watch our show together. We have a little show we like to watch together or something. So grandparents, just encourage, if you see them going the wrong way or not being as disciplined, just kind of like, hey, are you done with that? You done with your studies, whatever. But for the most part, try not to interrupt, because I know as an older person, I'm an older person. Listen, I'm 70 years old. Okay, I know I don't look like it.
I still cannot believe that. That just blows my mind.
So I want my younger nieces and nephews to come and see me and, spend more time with me, but they're busy. I know that. So I'm not going to try to intrude into their space too much, but they don't come see me soon. I'm not leaving them anything in my will.
Noted.
No, but for the most part, just be supportive, and don't try to, get too much attention, because, they are on a path for their future. So that's it.
And they also need to find themselves and their own identity along the way too, as challenging as that may be in an isolated situation, but they'll figure it out. It will be fine.
They'll figure it out. Yeah, it'll be fine.
And I think you had mentioned letting them find their normal routine and everything. And it's been, I don't know about you, Deborah, but for me personally, I feel like I'm in a normal routine now. I'm so used to this 5 months into it. And when did that happen? I remember going into this thinking, this isn't going to last long. It's going to be fine. I'm not going to get too comfortable. And now look at us. We got this down. Yeah.
Well, it would stay productive. Listen, if you get your eyes off of what's not and just think about what is. I've been working at home for 15 years. So I work in my office. It's quiet. It's in a beautiful setting. And so I'm not thinking about all the people I can't call, because there's Zoom. I can call them up and see them. Yes, I'd like to meet. And some I've actually meet for lunch, and we, we go walking as well. But, they're up there and I'm 6 feet behind. Feels really weird. But, we're getting used to it.
I love it.
Get a new normal. Don't get stuck and ain't it awful. That's kind of like the theme of my life. Don't get stuck and ain't it awful. Just say, what's a new way to do it? How can I maximize this? Let's do it.
Listen to that, guys. Get a new normal. Whether you like it or not, you're getting one. The world is forcing you into a new normal. Embrace it and make the most of it, right? Seize the moment.
Yeah. You know, Maya Angelou had a saying. She said, if you don't like a situation, change it. But if you can't change it, change how you think about it. So I'm in a mode of just changing how I think about it. Okay, this shutdown is good. I can organize all my papers. I can organize all this stuff around the house. I can organize the garage. I can do a whole bunch of things. I have a to-do list. Create a to-do list. Get up every day with something in mind that you want to accomplish or do. Because there's something about being productive that keeps you from thinking about, it just ain't this way.
I love that. I think that that's fantastic. And you're right. Create a to-do list. I love that. Give yourself a reason to get out of bed and get dressed and put one foot in front of the other every day. I love that.
Absolutely.
So I've been looking through your catalog of books here, and there are so many good ones. And I love that you've got this theme of taming your anger, taming your emotions, taming your fears. And right now, there's so much of that in everyone right now. We're all feeling so many different emotions and uncertainty. So I definitely want to encourage our audience to check these out. Ms. Deborah, can they buy these on Amazon or your website, confrontingissues.com?
Absolutely. Just type my name in and my whole page. I have an author's page there. All 18 books are there.
So in this series of taming things, which book was the first one that you published?
Actually, my first book that I published was called Confronting Without Offending. And it was a primer on how people can confront in an unoffensive way. But the one that has been the most popular is Taming Your Tongue. And I have to tell you, I wrote that book out of my own experience where I messed up and told something I was supposed to tell. And so I went on a fast. So that book really it's different in that it's a period of abstinence. It's a verbal fast. So it's not a regular not eating fast, but you fast from negativity. So for 30 days, you can't gossip or lie or tell half the truth. You can't be critical. Okay, so you ain't gonna be doing no talking. Okay.
Do you know me that well already? Goodness.
Yeah, but you know what? I have it's in 6 languages. I have gotten emails from around the world, changing people's conversation, knowing how to say things, because words don't die; they stick in people's heads. And so it's just like, tell the truth. Don't criticize people. Don't tear them down. Don't judge people. All of those things. If you go, listen, there's a test in the back with the 30 negative things that you have to refrain from, 30 negative uses of the tongue. And each day you take the test and say, did I do one of those today? Listen, I took the test one day and I had 5 violations. I'm like, oh. But it really sensitizes you to your tendency to be negative. And that's what we don't want. We want to be positive. Listen, people like to be around you when you're positive and upbeat. I've been invited to high value functions, $500 a plate and all that. And they said, because you're fun. We want you to sit at our table. I'm like, I'll sit at your table once I don't have to pay that $500.
I love that. I really love that. So I'm just curious, when people do the Taming Your Tongue and they take their test the first time, do you feel like the majority of people out there may check off more than 5, or do you
yes,
all of them?
Yeah, somebody told me, so they said I had them all. I got to do them all. I said, well, listen, don't try to do them all at once. Just pick one. And let me tell you, one of the ones I want to challenge the audience to pick right now. It's the complaining tongue. We name each one something, the lying tongue, the blah-blah tongue, but it's the complaining tongue. I want you to go 24 hours, just 24 hours without registering a complaint about anything. Don't express any displeasure about anything. I can tell you, most of us can't do it. We're going to find something that's wrong. Oh, the line is so long, or whatever, or they're out of bread again, whatever, whatever. So just refrain from it and don't chime in when somebody else does it. I don't care where you are. When somebody tries to come, oh, it's so hot. And just like, yep, but I'm just grateful for whoever invented air conditioning. I can't wait to get home.
I love that. Your positive mindset, your laughter, everything is so infectious. So thank you so much for this. And I know that you have a very busy schedule ahead of you and for the rest of your day and the rest of your weeks. So any last closing parting words of wisdom you would like to throw out at our audience, or remind them where they can find your books?
Well, I know we're in a period of uncertainty, but you can be certain about some things. You can be certain about how you're going to interact with your family. You can be certain about showing love. I like the 23rd Psalm. It says, surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. Expect goodness and mercy to follow you. You can be sure about that. We don't have to be uncertain. And you be the light. Just be the light. Wherever you go, just decide you're going to bring the joy. Everybody else may not have it. You're going to bring the joy. You're going to look for the creativity, and you're going to offer service to others. That's a good way to live. It feels right.
I love it. I think that's beautiful. And, share the green light, the mean green light, if I may.
Let's narrow that down a little bit.
Right. Not just any light. It's got to be the green one, guys. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. All right. Well, thank you again, Miss Deborah. You have just been such a joy, and what a great conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, Casey, I want to tell everybody to join me on Facebook this week at 5:00 Pacific time. We're doing a seminar every day. It's free, 30 minutes. So today I have all the guys. I'll have only guys coming, telling women how to lead better and the things that they're doing that self-sabotage. It's going to be great. So every day on Facebook under Deborah Smith Pegues, Confronting Issues, just go there. It's going to be fun. You just got to get there. We're having a great time.
I love it. You heard it, guys. 5:00 Pacific time, not Central.
So 7:00 Central here.
Yes, thank you. I sure will not. So thank you again. All right. Well, Claudia, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Deborah, for being here today. And thank all of you for joining us.